What's up, my comic comrades? Recently, we've been making our way through the 3-issue DCeased spin-off series, DCeased Unkillables. Well, today, we reached the climax with issue 3, and let me tell you guys, it did not disappoint. Now, before I dive in, I do want to state the obvious that today's episode will contain spoilers for the entirety of the DCeased Unkillables miniseries, as well as bits of the original DCeased series. Also, if you haven't read the first 2 issues of Unkillables or watched our videos on issues 1 and 2, you're gonna be lost. With that said, let's jump in. The issue starts off directly where issue 2 left off, with a now infected Bane letting hordes of the infected into the orphanage while simultaneously charging the children, Jim Gordon, Deathstroke, and the rest of the non-infected. Gordon then yells "inside" to everyone, with Slade following up with "stay away from the windows and mirrors," because remember from last issue, Mirror Master is now infected and has been teleporting via the mirrors to kill people. And as an infected Bane is charging in to tear people apart, a very Grey Hulk looking Solomon Grundy jumps in to stop him. Because as the comic says, Bane is inhumanly strong, but Solomon Grundy is a whole other thing. And Grundy proves so by literally grabbing Bane's head and ripping it off with one hand. We're only 2 pages in and Bane already got his head ripped off. This is gonna be fun. Anyway, after this, Grundy proceeds to chuck Bane's decapitated head at the zombie horde, to which Creeper says, "Oh whoa, that's the first headbutt I've seen without a body behind it." Grundy then proceeds to hold off the horde from flooding the orphanage because, well, he's incredibly strong, but also he's dead being a reanimated corpse, so he could handle more than most. Anyway, the orphans, who have now been trained by the villains, are all about taking on the infected horde. But Gordon's like, "Fall back," and Slade says, "Yeah, don't risk your life for a dead man." Gordon tells everyone we have to get to the corridor and then get the kids and everyone on the bus. Rose, aka Ravenger, says, "We'll be sitting ducks out there on the road." "And where are we gonna go?" And Gordon replies, "The Gotham jungle." Red Hood then jumps in saying, "The heroes left, Jim. You honestly think a sanctuary is still there?" Gordon just looks at him and says, "You have another option?" So they all load the buses with the Batmobile leading the charge, breaking out of the orphanage. Also, it's pretty awesome that the school buses are all zombie apocalypse Mad Maxed out with spikes and battering rams in the front of them. And because of this, we literally see them plowing through zombies. It's a bloody mess. They then continue to make the drive to the Gotham jungle, but of course, not without some hiccups, because out of nowhere, an infected Mirror Master teleports in via a mirror inside one of the buses, slashing Deathstroke in the face with his hand. But remember, Deathstroke is immune to the anti-life virus because of his healing factor. But Deathstroke is not who we're worried about, because seconds later, Mirror Master starts coming in through the passenger windows, pulling kids through. Solomon Grundy's all like, "No, take children," and starts smashing the windows, and one of the girls, Letty, follows suit with a baseball bat. And when Mirror Master comes in through another window, once again pulling a girl named Matilda through by the hair, Cheetah moves in so quick, she's able to put her claws straight through Mirror Master's head, killing him and saving the girl. Jason then calls into bus 1 asking, "Is everyone okay?" Slade responds, "It was Mirror Master. He's down." And Gordon jumps in sadly saying, "But we lost a couple of kids." I said it in the issue 2 video, but Gordon really is the heart and soul and emotion of this book. It's so good. Anyway, both Rose and Jason are extremely sad about this, and Jason says, "Jim, I'm sorry, but we're almost home. I can see it. I could see the garden, but when they arrive, they're shocked to see a whole lot of undead." Jason then says, "That many blighted ones? There's definitely people alive in the garden." Rose asks, "How are we gonna get in?" Jason's like, "We go through them," and starts running over the infected with the Batmobile. We literally see the bat tires of the Batmobile crushing zombies. An alarm then goes off inside the Batmobile, with Rose asking, "What's that?" And Jason says, "An alarm." She replies, "Maybe it's a good alarm," to which Jason responds, "Batman would never install a good alarm." Jason goes on to say, "It's radar, something low, coming fast." Rose tells him, "Jason, I could see the future. I know it's coming. Seatbelt." Jason then tells Rose a missile isn't even gonna dent this car, and she just yells at him, "Seatbelt." On the next page, we see something huge hit the front end of the Batmobile, destroying it and causing it to flip over. And on the page after that, we see it's an infected Wonder Woman once again, with a caption saying, "Superpowered death has come for us." At this point, Wonder Woman's archenemy Cheetah has had enough. She then runs out of the bus, charging Wonder Woman, trying to take her down once and for all. But Slade tells Creeper that Cheetah can't stop the Amazon by herself. So Creeper says, "I guess I'm taking on an undead goddess." And as he's walking out of the bus, Solomon Grundy says, "Not by self. Tree lobsters." If you're wondering, the whole tree lobsters thing is an ongoing joke of dialogue between the orphans and the villains. It's kind of one of those things you have to read the book to really get. Anyway, Solomon Grundy and Creeper then proceed to take on Wonder Woman. Meanwhile, Slade tells Gordon to get everyone else on the other bus, that he needs this one to clear a path for the rest of them, and that he has to get Rose. And she may not like him all that much, but that's entirely his fault. Gordon tells him, "I'm coming with you. That's Batman's son in there, and you might need help with your girl. We've lost enough kids, Slade." Meanwhile, Lady Shiva was listening in from the other bus saying, "Don't be idiotic. You can't risk everything for one person." Which soon becomes extremely ironic, as right after this, she gets off the bus telling all the kids to stay where they are, while she goes to save her daughter Cassandra from the zombie horde. But unfortunately, she gets infected in the process. Cassandra then looked at her with tears in her eyes saying, "Mother," and she replies, "It's over, Cassandra. You were the only person I admired." So then Shiva, the deadliest hands on earth, uses them on herself to tear out her own heart before she turned. That is some Indiana Jones stuff right there. I've said it before, but the deaths in this comic are crazy. Anyway, Slade and Gordon then go to rescue Jason and Rose from the crashed Batmobile. But Deathstroke soon realizes he has to keep the horde back while Gordon, Jason, and Rose get to safety. Rose then says that "You'll be right behind us, yeah?" Slade says, "That's definitely the plan, but in case I'm not, you survive the apocalypse and build something out of this mess. Yeah?" But Rose could see the future, and she knew they both wouldn't survive, and this was going to be her last time saying goodbye. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman is still fighting Creeper, Grundy, and Cheetah, but now we see her win by literally crushing Cheetah's throat, ripping Creeper's head off, and then punching a hole straight through Grundy's chest. And she's holding him there, allowing a zombie horde to tear him apart. And the gore and deaths just keep coming, because that's 4 gruesome deaths in a row, but guess what? The next page brings us into the 5th. We see Deathstroke is still fighting off a horde all by himself, allowing his daughter and company to get to safety. While the comic says Slade could survive most things, his body could repair itself, but if his organs were taken, he would be done for. The comic then goes on to say there was a moment where he single-handedly held back the anti-life hordes, where he looked untouchable, where he looked unkillable. But then on the next panel, we see Wonder Woman literally fly straight into Deathstroke, full speed, causing him to explode everywhere, with a caption saying, "Deathstroke was just gone." She left nothing of him to repair. I have no words, guys. This comic is just so gory and shocking, and I love it. There's really nothing else for me to say. Wonder Woman then turned on the rest of them by picking up the bus that Cassandra and the rest of the orphans resided in and flying it into the air, and when she was high enough, she let it go. Now I know what you're thinking. This is DCeased, so for sure everyone in the bus is dead because everyone dies in this comic. But as we see the kids' faces of terror moments away from their death, we see lightning hit the bus midair with the word Shazam. And on the next page, we see it's Mary Marvel. That's right, Mary Marvel was one of the orphans the whole time. She's actually the mysterious superhero that saved the kids back in issue 1 of this miniseries, which is amazing because the big thing with that is that the orphans didn't know who the hero was. They just knew she saved them, reinforced the doors, barricaded the windows, and brought them all food. And then she just went away and never came back. This also makes all the sense in the world because in issue 2 of the series, we saw one of the infected orphans was Billy Batson, and the villains in Red Hood were forced to kill him. Anyway, Mary's like, "I shouldn't have said the word. I know it, but I couldn't just let them die. I saw Billy Batson's eyes when the virus took hold of him. I was the one who locked him away." And the kids were like, "Mary, you were the hero that helped us. Why did you stop?" And she replies, "I'll explain later. Keep driving, get to the garden. I'm heading out there." We then find out Mary didn't continue to help the kids because she didn't want to be used in the world if she was to get infected. But she says, "These kids are my world and I couldn't let them in." So she went to face death, aka Wonder Woman. The two then battle for a little bit and it's a pretty epic battle. But it ends with Mary punching Wonder Woman into the earth, causing a massive crater and explosion. Mary then quickly flies down to the bus and picks it up by bending the metal into a handle and flies it into the garden as it starts to open for them. Once inside, they all start to get off the bus and Gordon says, "Get ready, Wonder Woman will be coming." But Poison Ivy says she won't. She can't reach the garden. And then freaking Dr. Fate says it's magically protected against her and all her kind. Then Zatanna says, "Welcome to post-apocalyptic Eden." And John Constantine finally adds, "It's pretty if you can ignore all the dead people scratching on the walls." That's right, freaking Dr. Fate, Zatanna, and Constantine are still alive and protecting everyone via their magic. And for those of you wondering what Ivy and Harley Quinn are still doing, remember in DCeased, Ivy told the heroes when they were leaving Earth on a ship that she had to stay on Earth to protect the Green. And of course, Harley was like, "Well, I'm staying with you, Red." Ivy then proceeds to tell the kids that they're safe here in the garden and that nothing will harm them. And Harley's like, "Ivy, look at all these new kids we get to corrupt." But Jason interrupts saying, "Sorry, Harley, these ones come pre-corrupted by the best," as they look at stone memorials of the villains that died protecting them, with a plaque that says, "Villains, saviors, family, tree lobsters. And with that, this series ends. In short, I thought this series was fantastic. Much like the original DCeased miniseries, Tom Taylor is doing a fantastic job with the DCeased universe in general. He's basically bringing the lightning and magic he had with the Injustice comic series to this series, and it is great. Now, even though this miniseries is over, we're gonna continue giving you guys DCeased-themed episodes by covering Tom Taylor's newest entry into the DCeased universe, DCeased at Hope's End. So look out for that in coming weeks. But as always, let us know what you think of this series and the DCeased universe in general in the comment section down below. And just like that, that brings today's episode to a close. But if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like our content, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps us out. But I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.